day, everybody. My name is Tabi Maj. Welcome to my online English class. Today's lesson is about effective use of passive voice. Please check the board and see what we are learning today. Today we are learning about effective use of passive voice. So here are the characteristics. It is more natural to use the active voice, but the passive voice is often used for effect. So naturally we use an active voice, but passive voice we use for effect. So we have studied about active and passive voice in the past few lessons. Now we are learning about effective use of passive voice. So the characteristics is it is more natural to use the active voice, but the passive voice is often used for effect. So here's number one, when it is not necessary to mention the subject or doer. So we use a passive voice when it's not necessary to mention the doer. So here's an example. Refreshments will be served. Will be served is our verb, and refreshments was supposed to be an object, but now it's a subject. So our subject moves to the back to become the object, which is the doer. So we don't name the doer. That is what the rule says, when it is not necessary to mention the doer. So we move on to when we are not sure who did the action. So if we are not sure who did the action, then we use a passive voice because we're not sure who did the action. So here's an example. The diamonds were stolen. Were stolen is our verb. So the diamond is supposed to be an object, and then we have the doer. But because we don't know the doer, then we just use the passive voice and say the diamonds were stolen. Then we move to when demands are made anonymously. So we use a passive voice when demands are made anonymously. So when the demand is made by somebody we don't know, but it's a rule that we have to follow, then we use a passive voice. Here's an example. Smoking is not permitted in the cinema. So is not permitted is our verb, but smoking is supposed to be at the end and cinema is supposed to be at the front with the person that spoke the words. But because it is a command, we do not have the person that spoke the word, so it is not necessary to use an active voice. We use a passive voice. We say smoking is not permitted in the cinema. Then we move to when a nameless accusation is made. So basically when we don't know who did what. So when we don't know who did anything, then we cannot name the doer. Then we use a passive voice. This shirt has been ruined in the wash. So we are not naming the doer because we don't know. This shirt has been ruined in the wash. Has been ruined is our verb, and the shirt it's supposed to be our object, but it has come to the front to become the subject because of a passive voice. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Please tune in again next time.